Good evening and welcome to the March 2025 Psychic Forecast. And March is the month that the earth will shake. That's the first message I got from my guide, and I'll explain more about that in this 2025 or March 2025 Psychic Forecast. Big trouble for Trump. We'll talk about why in a moment. And there's a huge global reset that's going on. So there's a lot to talk about. Everything's in my notes because I can never remember all of it. I've got like about 20 pages. So there's a lot of information. And trust me, there's a lot more that I could talk about than what's going to come through or what happened. This is just huge. And hold on one sec. And we've talked about me since the late 70s, but here on YouTube since the inception of this channel in 2020, how this period was the earth changes. So we're not in the preparation or the cusp of the earth changes anymore. It is happening. And that's why everything is being torn down. So we will get into this in just a second in the psychic forecast. I'll briefly talk about the numerology and the important astrological. I'll go right into the predictions. I've got some divination cards for the end, a channeled message. Let me see. Do I have my channel message? I've got everything in my. Oh, I do. Good. I've got the channel. It's a short one, and that's basically it. So we're going to get started just in a second. People are still getting their notifications. That's why I'm going to start with the astrology and numerology. The lion's share of you really want to hear about the predictions anyway, but this is a good way to just kind of get the flavor and get the energy. Now, before I even begin, I will mention that psychic forecasts and predictions, they're just that energy, time, all that is fluid. If we change the vibration in the now, it's going to change some of these outcomes. That's what we want because it's not doom and gloom. I'm very hopeful about things, but it's a very changeable and challenging time that we're in right now. So we have to talk about a few difficult topics, but at the end of it all, this is the shift of humanity. This is the big awakening, the big ascension. And the old's got to fall so that the new can be rebuilt on stronger foundation. So a lot is going to fall. So anyway, the earth changes are happening now, and things will happen quickly. No doom and gloom. Okay, I'm just reading what I wrote. The results will be miraculous, but the transition will be challenging. So let's lay it all out there for you. And the idea, we want to help you prepare for this. So I try to get some very specific predictions in, but my goal is to give you the energy updates, to let you know what's going on energetically, how that's affecting you, how that's affecting your community, how that's affecting the world, so you can best be prepared and function to the best of your ability and to ascend and to grow during this process. So you will, for this month, starting briefly with, oh, all right. So I kind of explain. I don't have to read anymore. So we'll do the predictions, and I've got some divination cards and a channel message at the end. So part of the divination card will combine channeling, so I can get more information that I may not have gotten when I was preparing my notes for you. So hi everybody. I'm not going to I'm reading after. Yeah, that may or may not be in my notes. We'll see as I go on. But we'll talk about that in a second. So let's dive on in. Firstly, March 2025 is a universal number 12 month. 12 is the number of the sacrifice. That's Chaldean numerology. It aligns with the energies of the god Odin, the Norse god Odin, the one that sacrificed one eye for wisdom and knowledge. So it also reduces to 3. So the question is, for the month of March, what are you willing to sacrifice for your growth and expansion and for the betterment of yourself and your community? So that's an underlying theme. And it's all about spiritual growth. And that's a big part of the theme this month. It's a very spiritual energy. It's Jupiterian, so there's a lot of energy, a lot with leadership, a lot with legalities. All that stuff really plays in. And March is really, to me, is the beginning of a 3-month period where it's just all changing. So again, lot going on now. Right now, I think it started yesterday or today. Mercury just started its approach to its next retrograde, which is at on March the 15th at 9 degrees Aries. Um, and there's also a solar eclipse happening on the 29th, also 9 degrees Aries. 9 is Mars influenced numerology, also Pluto. The sign Aries is Mars. Mars is energy, lots of energy. It can be also about war, unfortunately, or I shouldn't even say war, but about conflicts might be a better word, because we're not going into World War III. We're not creating that. That is a no. Cancel, delete, and all that. But it's interesting that we have a solar eclipse. So this is eclipse season. What eclipses do? They just intensify the energies. We have eclipse seasons every 6 months. Usually there's two in a set. So the lunar or the am I getting this? The lunar eclipse is at 9 degrees. I have this written down somewhere. March 14th, lunar eclipse at 23 degrees Virgo. Solar eclipse at 9 degrees Aries. Thank you. Venus retrograde begins now, March the 1st, actually, 10 degrees Aries. So a lot of Aries energy. Aries is the first sign. A lot of energy. Lots and lots of energy. Two eclipses. And Uranus and Pluto, they're not squared anymore, but they're in both in squaring signs. So we have Uranus is kind of that sudden energy. Pluto is squaring sign. All right. But Pluto is basically the evolution, the revolution, the transmutation, the alchemical turning lead into gold energy, transmutation, and all that stuff. So this has been going on for a while. These two planets have been kind of squaring off for a good while now. And both of these are the movers and shakers energetically that drive the changes in the earth, basically. So what else? All right. I think I've got this somewhere else, but anyway, was there anything else? Mars very prominent through hours number 9. Okay, Venus retrograde March 1st. Then yeah, that's it. Let's dive into the prediction, because there's just so much that needs to be talked about. And thanks guys for your comments and everything. Oh God, I'm glad your ex-boyfriend came through, Debbie. I just called that's pretty cool. All right. So firstly, I got a vision right off about the Statue of Liberty, and then I was seeing like military jets and what looked like Black Hawk helicopters, like a lot of military activity right around the Statue of Liberty. I don't know exactly what that means, but it could suggest a threat to the New York harbor. I'll put it that way, or our coast. In my heart, I think if there's a threat, it's not going to mean a disaster, just to be clear about that. But as I'm talking, Spirit's saying a lot of this has to do with water, and that a lot of the challenges are going to come through water, either through things like natural things like floods or whatever. But I believe any threats will be negated. I want to say, and big spikes, and and there's really big spikes in the cosmic frequencies, and that's really the name of it. I mean, I want to talk about the spirituality because it's a very spiritual shifting time, I want to say. So we're going to have, they're saying, 3 very pronounced huge spikes in energy, and one's right now, and the solar activity's been off the hook. So there's been a lot of mostly M-class flares and other perturbations within the solar surface. So the sun's getting very active, the Earth's getting very active also. And they were talking about 3 separate terrorist attacks or planned attacks also. Again, timelines are fluid. Some of the stuff may not happen. And I have to mention that sometimes things will happen out of time. So I may get something for March and winds up happening in April or May. And the best example is I had last June, a very specific image about New York City, but it didn't happen in June. It happened in September, exactly how I saw it. So again, timelines can change. So keep that in mind. again, we're here to prepare. So they were showing me Toronto. So that area may be a little bit of a hotbed of activity during the month of March. We'll talk more about Canada and all that stuff later when we get into it. But and then or some other issues. Yeah, then they were showing me it could be like fire or something like that. I think it's going to be a big month for fires also, fortunately. Then I had a vision of everything being painted blue. Everything in this vision was blue. And to me, because whether it's true or whether it's more of a function of popular belief, I think there's some truth of it. The DEW, the DO or direct energy weapons, apparently blue resisted. And they were, again, we can't always trust what's on the media or social media. All lines of information are corrupt. We can look in and find the patterns, especially if we're cross-referencing in different like alternative news sources, but trust your heart, trust your intuition. Being in the heart is a big thing, a big spiritual thing about now and always. We talk always about heart brain coherence. So they're saying either Toronto or major Canadian city or some other issue to fire might strike. Also, I had a vision of. All right, I said that. Now, as far as Donald Trump goes, let's not dive into that. As far as Trump goes, here's where I'm seeing trouble. There's three reasons. One is I do get an assist. I don't know if I should use that. I have to communicate. So I was seeing an assassination attempt again, possibly. So that around March or April, I was seeing some health stuff coming out again around March or April. Now, mind you, these are not new predictions. I made these in the autumn before he was even elected. I think it was after he was elected, but before he was inaugurated. So I didn't just come up with this in March. These are old predictions. I cited those 2 months. Now those 2 months are here. Well, March and April are coming up. So we'll see how that goes. And the third thing is the creation of a serious rift within the Republican Party. So there's almost like a civil war developing, even within the Republican Party, the Labor Party, and other European Union parties, global governments. Also, they were showing me something with Putin's health relating, and they were saying a recurrence of cancer. And honestly, when the news came out, when was it, last spring, I think, I didn't believe it when we were seeing things on social media that Putin has cancer. But this came through in channeling that a recurrence of cancer, and they're seeing skin lesions. We'll see. And we don't want any harm to come to anybody, but that's just what I've seen. That's what kind of came through, anyways. So maybe Putin. So at least, and I was also seeing at least two prominent world leaders dying. And as I'm talking and saying, people are just going to disappear also. And if you trace back to things, you'll find that these are people that are either whistleblowers or have some role in governments or world governments or movers or shakers or stuff like that. And then I see, all right, I do these notes. I can't even read it. At least two prominent world leaders die. Which, not including the Pope. I want to make that clear. I know Pope Francis is not doing well, but besides him, and I could see action on one or all accounts to try to remove him from office. I think if this happens, it would be more like in April than March. And you guys may remember I did a whole live stream, no, not a live stream, a video about, I don't know, probably about 6 weeks ago, explaining why he might step down in that video. And I had made the prediction, before he got inaugurated and everything. I was seeing him 2.5 years and then him stepping down for one reason or another. So I did this video say, what if 2.5 years turns out to be 2.5 months? Because early April will be 2.5 months from when he was inaugurated. Personally, I think he's going to get through this, but there's going to be tons of pushback. We're already seeing this. So honestly, this is a forecast, but there is some nowcasting that is happening also because, and I did these notes several days ago. You may be listening to me and thinking, well, that's happening. But when I did the notes, it wasn't happening yet. So there's a few examples of that. So I'll have more to say about Donald Trump a little bit later when I talk a bit about the DOGE, the Stargate agenda and stuff like that. So I'm going to revisit that. But will just say the earth is shaking. The earth shaking, it's not just about the earthquakes, it's about the shaking of the structure of our entire society. So yeah, lots of spikes in the seismic activity that was forecast also, and now we're seeing it. So anyway, Trump must know in a moment when we all right. So climate and weather, let's dive into that for a second. And I wouldn't honestly, I wouldn't know where to begin. I could spend an hour just talking about the different, weather and natural as well as man-made, issues around the world, around the globe. But let me see. But expect crazy, unusual weather across the globe. Possible freeze in southern Europe, maybe snow, Middle East, snow and desert. 3 highly impactful storms in the U.S. can produce record severe flooding. I'm swear it's not doom and gloom, but let's be prepared for at least the possibility. And yeah, with severe weather, flooding and everything that comes with that. I think this is in my notes already, but so the earth will shake. Revisit opening line. I wrote that in my notes. Big spikes in earthquakes and volcanoes worldwide. I see a Pacific violent volcano I was feeling the northwest. Watch Mount St. Helen that erupted when 1980, 1981. It might be due. Mount Hood, Rainier. There's a lot of peaks there. Also Hawaii. We're already seeing Kilauea going absolutely nuts, and you have to remember that the frequencies keep increasing. And it's happening in our sun. We're seeing it in the sun. It's happening within the earth. And as these frequencies keep getting higher, it's more energy, creates more movement in the earth. What happens when there's more movement in the earth? Even if it's millimeters, it creates reaction within tectonic plates where there's natural fractures to begin with. So this is all a product of energy. You add the eclipses where the gravitational force of the moon and sun tend to be more localized and therefore create even more stress on the planet. So, keep in mind of that. I was seeing underground magma surfacing in the west, could be through cracks and fissures forming, etc. Not all this is going to happen in March, by the way, but it could, and it could be soon after that. So suffice it to say, with so much heightened frequency affecting the sun and earth, and a lot of the shaking results takes place. Intense solar activity starts. Possibly the solar flip is happening now also. So we get that. Also, the earth shaking means the big shifts in global politics, economy structures, all that stuff is in play, definitely. Corruption exposed on a grand level. I've got pages of corruption that's either in the process of being exposed that we know about, the process of being exposed that we don't know about yet because it's not on the news, and things that may happen. And this is only going to be a partial list. Let me find that list for you. And where are we? Corruption exposure list. Some of it happens. All right, I said that. True origins of a certain virus that swept through the globe several years ago. The true origins of that. Now, 2 years ago, I could speak on the lab leak theory or man-made or genetically engineered coronavirus or whatever. This video would come down probably, or at least I'd get a strike. Now that's the most accepted theory. So not all conspiracy theories becomes conspiracy facts, but a lot do. Some of the conspiracy theories are actually designed to get people going down the wrong rabbit hole so they can continue to they create smoke screens. They continue to further the agendas, to further centralize the power, centralize the government at the detriment of you and I and the common citizen, basically. So alien tech, okay, also true origin of COVID, You watch how Fauci, watch how Gate. About 2.5 years ago, I did a whole live stream, a whole 45-minute live stream just on Anthony Fauci and what I saw happening. And it's all been happening. Truth be told, it's taking longer than what I thought, but it's still happening. And a lot to be exposed. There were emails, there were experts in virology telling him things, or telling not just him, but anyway, long story short, him and Mr. Gates and other players coming under a lot of fire, of the a lot of the whistleblowers stepping forward, things like that. A lot of people connected to the testing processes, the pharmaceutical companies, and a lot of the incomplete testing, stuff like that. I think I've got more on that, but let me go on with that. Lunar landing, did it happen? So that's another thing. This would be in 1969. I believe Stephen Greer's theory that it actually did happen, but they had to doctor it up and change the photographs because they didn't want to see like the alien technology in the ships like on the moon. Basically, that would not have been too cool, but I, you can have your own thoughts. Of course, JFK and RFK and others, these are coming out already. Collaboration through, okay, this is a goodie. Collaboration through large tech companies and governments to create AI-driven surveillance, including social credit scores, medical histories, digital IDing, maybe implanted IDing. So we don't want that. That's leveling more control. That's 1984 stuff. We don't want that. Push towards centralized central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, to centralize the economy, and could result in bank closures, FDIC closures, big economic reset. I have a section on the economy coming up a little later. Orchestrating a collapse or a shift in the economy to roll out a solution that favors the globalist movement. Leverage. Okay, so let me do one at a time. I'm trying to peek at your COVID dreams. That sounds, or not Putin dreams. That sounds fascinating. So basically, part of what's going on with the collapse could be, or we'll see elements of how that may have been manufactured to some degree, or orchestrated might be a better word. And again, that's always to push forward agendas. And remember, the conspiracies, what are they about? They're about money, because money is power. They're about centralization. They're about control. When you understand their style and how to follow, connect the dots, so to speak, you can have a good idea of what's going on, right? So leveraging climate change to enact agendas. Now, climate change, I knew about climate change in the late 1970s. Why? Because I was a meteorology major in college, and I did some papers on it. The models are coming out almost to the letter, basically. Point being is that you hear a lot about climate change as a hoax, global warming a hoax. I want to amend that a little bit. Global warming is real. Climate change is real. How it's being presented and used, there's where the hoax lies, because it's used to leverage more power and control to push further agendas. It's being taken out of proportion, and I think you get that. So what else do we write about that? So leveraging climate change to enact agendas, as well as breaking, as well as hierarchies, national security, even pandemics, vaccination programs, so forth and so on, to increase government control, basically. So, all right, going deeper into the list of corruption, I really should probably just read these off and not comment too much on them, because there is a lot to talk about. So, technocratic society, technology-driven technocratic society at that. Social media algorithms, the almighty algorithms, YouTube, Facebook, all social media algorithms are to push forward certain agendas, certain belief systems, while suppressing other agendas, and things like that. So let me grab a little water. So I think more is going to be discovered with what these algorithms are doing. So, if you're posting something that's very polarizing, either pro-Trump, against Trump, whatever it is, rest assured the algorithm is going to push that out. If you're talking about like what I do, it's like, well, there's really no right or left. They're both they both answer to the same, the same authority basically, and we try to work on understanding what the divide really is, and there's a common enemy. Those posts don't get pushed out at all. They just kind of crickets basically. So it's not just that, but so there's another one. So what else? Also the media, not just social media, but the media. It's all for polarizing. There's selective censorship, basically what's happening. Censorship that's going under the radar. We're becoming more, well, I'll say less a democracy, only democracy by name now, but we're functioning more, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to say socialist or communist because that has negative and false implications. And that's not exactly what I'm driving at, but it's control based, basically. Our freedom of speech is, yeah, we have freedom of speech, but the algorithm is not going to push it out if they don't like what you're saying, right? So media exposed for selective censorship. Okay. Creating smart cities, digital infrastructures for constant surveillance of individuals. Okay, so there's another one. Vaccine programs. By the way, you can find a lot of this on ChatGPT, believe it or not. I went in and I was like, oh my God. Just if you do AI, look it up and see what comes up basically. So vaccination program and other medication, specifically the mRNA therapies and related therapies, designed as a lead-in to human technology interfacing and altering of human genetics, basically. So another um, um, more corruption being surfacing, right? Um, while I'm on the subject, disclosures of exaggerated efficiency of the vaccine while diminishing the potential side effects and presenting that to the public. So that's a biggie that's in the process of coming out also. I'm not going to go over the whole laundry list, but they are finding some pretty disturbing facts about these therapies and how they really didn't work to the expectations of many, and that the side effects and potential side effects were not really fully disclosed. Now, I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-control. I'm anti-withholding information and trying to force people to do things. Educate people. Put all that energy into educating people. And one of the things I believe they're going to find is that there would have been a way to vaccinate certain select groups in order to help control the virus rather than trying to get everybody to take the vaccine. And you can't sue drug companies if you have an adverse reaction. That's part of the law also. So anyway, knowledge and more efficient vaccination processes. All right, I kind of said that, right? So moving right along. So virus therapies, including natural therapies, being suppressed. So that's another one. Knowledge of just how intense the programming machine is. More disclosures of the direct energy weapons are due. I said that earlier about seeing everything colored blue. Use of crises to seize more power, more control. Many that were orchestrated to a greater or lesser degree. 9/11 comes up in my mind. The Noriega papers. The fact that I'm kind of jumping ahead, but the fact that that happened. There's all kinds of evidence to show that there was some pre-knowledge, and then it took 10 years to find Bin Laden, that was the most wanted man in the whole world. It took them 10 years to find him. Mind you, even back in the 90s, there was satellites that could pick out a penny on 34th Street in Manhattan, but it could not find the most wanted man, stand 6'7" with no shoes, ride the camel in the desert, is on dialysis, so he constantly needs people coming in and out of his encampment. But that took them 10 years. If you believe that this probably is not the channel for you, just to be clear about that. But if you want to apply critical thinking as well as intuition to understand what's going on, you'll find that that's a really dynamic combination. And we really try to process there. And critical thinking says that they could have taken him out much sooner than that. So why did they choose that time? So anyway, that the Noriega papers, validating that bin Laden was on the U.S. payroll, all kinds of stuff. All the, a lot of the passwords, what the reasons were, the opium fields, the precious metals, all that stuff, coming out basically. Weather modification, use of HARP, which stands for high frequency active auroral research program, and other modification tools for strategic weather modification. And strategic is the key word with that. And basically, and what do the HARPs do? Well, they can produce artificial auroras. So let me see. So weather modification, steering large weather systems like hurricanes. The technology heats the ionosphere. Well, the HARP technology heats the ionosphere, and some of our weather is actually a product of what's going on in space. We don't know that yet because that's information that's privy to only high-level officials. But it can also be applied to the upper troposphere, and the upper troposphere is what drives weather systems at the surface. So if you alter the temperature in the upper atmosphere, it creates troughs. Like if you cool it, it creates trough. If you raise it, it creates ridges. That drives the movement of storms. So they can leverage that knowledge and use these technologies in order to steer weather events. Now, again, some of this is disclosed already. You can go to the government website and find pages and pages on weather modification experiments, but we may not know exactly how it's being leveraged and why. So that's what's coming out. Could it be what many conspiracy theorists say, that they're leveling areas and building smart cities on that, driving population, all that stuff? It's all coming out. We'll find out soon enough. So what else do we write? What can be applied? All right. All right. So moving right along, we're still on just the different corruptions that are being exposed. The nature of psyops or psychological operations to control the narrative by exploiting human psychology, the survival instincts, particularly fear and anger, to create their desired effects. So we're living through the greatest psyop operation in known history, basically. AI used to predict outcomes. AI use beginning around 2014, maybe sooner. No, it's not new. AI's been around a while. mRNA testing for coronaviruses in 2018 or earlier, basically. Why would they test? This is coming out. God, where did I see this? Different places on YouTube. Jean Nolan's channel, Inspired channel. Various things that I've read, and I've suspected that and felt that all along. mRNA vaccines were originally designed for cancer, basically. But all right. So anyway, 9/11 Noriega bin Laden, we talked about that. Deeper meanings behind the tariffs to push the global economy, change the global marketplace, push the AI agenda. The Tesla Musk to direct farming and distribution practices to control food surpluses and food shortages. Thank you, Kissy Cat. I love you. Thanks for the donation. Ditto for important supplies, basically. All that you drive the food, you drive supplies, that drives societies. You got these are part of the psyops, right? So anyway, moving right along. Air disasters orchestrated to enlist AI, SpaceX, and other technologies. Interesting. There's somebody in a very prominent position of government that's part of that, right? So we believe, I don't have proof of this. So again, this is coming through intuitively. So I'm not suggesting that I know for sure, but in any regard, there's been a lot coming out about that as well. So basically, come up with a solution. Well, AI can predict the movement of planes. It's an amazing tool, but what's it being used for? How's it being leveraged? Links between vaccinations and health conditions like autoimmune, and I'll say possibly autism, because I don't think the jury's completely out there. I know what I believe, and I do believe there we'll just say significant circumstantial evidence to validate those points, but it's not proven. And again, I'm against disinformation. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I sound a little bit like RFK Jr. when he's saying, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, right? I got my vaccine. My children have vaccines. I'm the same way. I'm anti-control, right? Bioweapons, manufactured biology testing, specific demographics. That's a big one. The Epstein list, I think it's a partial list. I don't think we're going to know the full scope of that for a while. I want to say deep states backs against the wall will allow some. Okay, and the final thing is that the cabal, the globalists, whatever you want to call them, their backs against the wall, and I think that they may have even chosen Trump to be in and orchestrated a lot of this because they know the corruption's coming out. So I think they're orchestrating to happen in a certain way. Damage control, we'll put it that way. But they shift. It's like in the Hunger Games movie. There's moves and counter moves, right? There's more. Okay, page 6. Mystery fog causing illnesses, maybe even cancer, other things that are leading to spikes in cancer. That's in lead of the very expensive new mRNA/AI technologies to help to cure cancer and to treat cancer, basically. Now, again, a lot of withholding of information in the 1950s, I think, even earlier. They already understood that cancer does not do well in an alkaline system. It thrives on an acidic system. We can alkalize our system and anywhere between 50 to 80% reduce our chances of getting cancer just by proper diet, proper breathing, proper living. And I think what's going to come out is there's a parasitic side to cancer, and that might have been, maybe, I'll put this as a possibility, may have been cloaked within these mystery fog that had a foul odor, according to people that experienced that, and other things. New types of drones sighted, reveal the testing delivery system for biological agents and other things. Agendas but behind the wars. It's arms dealing, it's big money, big profits. Political forums designed to divide, separate, reveals that Pierce. The reveals that our perceived enemies may really be our friends, and who we see our friends are really enemies. Basically, creation of one or more financial crises to drive the economy, to create more fear and compliance, especially amongst the poor, and fake. And also, we've seen a lot of false news about the measles outbreaks. Again, that may be part of pushing a vaccine agenda. It's not false that people are getting measles and dying. It's false saying that it's more than it's been. Every year, there's been a few cases and handfuls of outbreaks of measles, basically. But it's more in the news now. Interesting. So anyhow, moving right along, let's go into ETs and UFOs. 158 in the chat now. Cool. Thanks, guys, for being here. Oh, yeah. Please hit the like button. We'd appreciate that. The goal is and I know you guys are coming out with something, and sometimes, yeah, a lot of spying. That may not be in my notes, but I'm kind of glancing at your notes. That's been going on a lot of times through cell phones, through computers, through algorithms, through so many means. It's already happening. These are all getting more onto the surface, more getting exposed. Whistleblowers step forward and record numbers and stuff like that. So UFO ET, huge disclosure, especially towards late month or maybe later on. We said that in February, there'd be huge disclosures at the end of February. To my knowledge, that hasn't happened yet. So again, not every single point's going to hit on every monthly forecast, but I find most of the misses in reality become events that happened at a different timeline, basically. I mean, but there has been some, there's been some disclosure, but not like admissions of there's been a secret space program. There's been uh, extraterrestrials and humans working together. There's a lot more. But big spike in sightings. March. I said that in January. It happened. I said that in March. It happened. In February. In March, even more so. New galactic interdimensional beings on Earth assisting the next wave of our ascension. So we're attracting new extraterrestrial beings, races, as well as the interdimensional um, and beings of light and beings of energy that are assisting us, and stuff of that nature. So anyway, big spike in sightings, unusual sky events, possible regional blackouts, internet blackouts, food and other shortages could happen quickly. So if stock up, I'm starting to do that now. I did a little bit in 2020, but I wasn't really feeling it then. I mean, I did it just in case. I was telling you guys to do it just in case. It feels, I think it's going to be partial, but it feels enough now that it could happen. So definitely, that'd be my recommendation. So what else? Looks like new galactic, possible regional blackouts, food and other shortage can happen quickly. Biggest spikes in spiritual awakening yet. So understand this is spiritual awakening. This is ascension. The frequencies keep getting higher. More and more people are having awakening to their higher gifts. That's what this change is all about. And we're all very heavily programmed. Some of us have transcended the program more than others, but that's really the name of the game. It's letting the facades fall so that we understand who we are as spirit and understand our connection so that we can begin to evolve and grow on a human level. And the agenda is to really get us more hooked up with the technology, to take a portion of our humanness away and our spirituality away, and to live in that reality, which to me would be miserable, to be honest. So anyhow, I talk a lot about that in other live streams. So anyway, also, look out for shortages of medication and stuff like that. And, we see medications going up with the advent of the new rules of the new, here in the United States, the new presidency, the new administration. That's the word that I'm looking at. And the changes and the cuts and everything. So, but I think sometimes shortages are, again, they're orchestrated. The biggest spike in spiritual awakening yet. Watch out for more phony, fake spiritual leaders emerging. Some using manipulation of energy to fool their followers into believing that they are having spiritual experiences in their presence. So there are people that know how to manipulate energy, but they're not spiritual. They're trying to trap you and to control you. When you're really in your heart and out of the program, you'll know the difference because you'll feel the difference. But we're going to see a lot of fakes being exposed, on YouTube. It's like a lot of people getting on the awakening bandwagon, all that kind of stuff. So I think we're going to see a lot of that surfacing. What are we doing? The earth will shake. Oh no, I'm on the wrong page. More on spirituality. The awakening being suppressed. We know that. The tear down in society is necessary for the ascension. The highest frequency we've ever experienced will be happening this month, and it's probably going to keep getting higher from there. There will be more purging on many levels going on as well. So more energetic purging. New spiritual teachers, possibly news of a new Messiah surfacing. I think that's going to take a little bit longer than March. Your masters may be extraterrestrials. Ascended masters may be extraterrestrial beings in critical positions of world government, basically. So there's been an infiltration of those sectors that want to control everything, the globalists or whatever, in the governments that are really working with the awakening, with the spiritual ascension. So there's like inside jobs that are going on. There's a lot of underground movements that are happening. Things are playing out basically, but there's a lot of that. The revolution is an inside job, changing governments, world politics from the inside out. So that's all going on. Maybe not all of it on the battlefield. That's all going on. Um, Revolution in the air, cyber attacks, and closure of groups responsible for attacks. We could see media hacked, revealing shocking photos of war-torn regions that don't get media attention. It's not just Russia, Ukraine, or the Middle East. Exposure to underground caves, caverns, tunnels, exposed possibly from possibly hacking news feeds or stuff like that, distributed to certain groups. So I think there are groups that are really trying to bring more public awareness to what's going on. Child trafficking. I don't think I included that per se in the whole list of corruptions being exposed, but certainly, the child trafficking that's been going on for a very, very long time, and what's behind it, what's behind Epstein, and who's involved with that in politics, media, entertainment, and all that stuff. Evidence of tampering of air disaster. We mentioned that before. So getting back to Donald Trump for a moment again, and the agendas connected to the Stargate project and things of that nature. It bugs me too, Laura. Thanks for your comment. Trump has been laser focused on exposing corruption based on his belief that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Why did I say go to Trump page? Oh, I have a whole page of stuff about Trump. That's why I say go to the Trump page. Okay. Trump page. Here we are. Okay. So anyway, so basically this is what we'll be, just made up this time what we've been preparing for, what I've been preparing for since 1978, but in any event, so where was I? Laser focus. So I think there's partly a personal agenda behind this. He wants to really stick it to it and expose all that corruption that he believes prevented him from winning in 2020. Whether that's true or not, that's do your research and see what you come up with. But Trump tariffs, that's a big one. So I feel like it. I kind of go back and forth with this. I have to be honest. Not all predictions are going to be available because timelines are fluid. It's not written in stone yet. A lot of it's going to depend on how Canada responds, China, Mexico, the European Union, and all that stuff. As of yesterday, they were showing it going through. As of today, they're saying there may be a way to mitigate that or to amend that to some degree anyways. But the timeline, it's not written in stone. It's still fluid. So let's send our good energy, our love. We're powerful beings, especially in groups. Prayer is powerful. These tariffs changing the whole economic landscape of the entire planet. I mean, if it's the best thing for the planet, if that's what's needed to expose things, then it's got to happen. We'll get through it. But let's send them a lot of love and a lot of positivity that they can work out their differences. Canada and the U.S. have been close allies, top trade partners forever. It would be a shame if that was to be compromised, in my opinion. So Trump tariffs feel like it's all right. We talked about that. In the end, the Trump administration, it's just a vehicle. It's just the catalyst. So basically, what I mean by that is, I've been saying this since before 2016. A lot of you know this because you've been following the work here on this channel. I've been saying for a long time, love him or hate him, this is the figure that's going to expose everything, that's going to change everything. This is before he was elected in 2016 or possibly after he was elected, but right around that time, like I saw that basically. So fast forwarding, we're seeing that playing out. Now, in the end, the Trump administration is just the vehicle, the catalyst for something that's happening. So it's not Trump. He's the catalyst, whether he's just the perfect person, whether he's a narcissist, evil, whatever you want to call him. He's the perfect, in a way, he is the chosen one, but that isn't necessarily an endearing thing. Um, but the society, but the society built on the weak foundation cannot and will not survive these new frequencies. So that's why it's really falling. That's why it's all coming out. He's just really the catalyst. I understand on a human level why he's despised. I really do. I really put an effort to not play favorites, to just give you the predictions as they come true. Truth be told, I had concerns about both candidates, all three, if you count Biden. So that's just my take on the politics for different reasons. But the society built on the weak foundation cannot survive this. So I understand on a human level. I get it, and I can't, I can't. It's hard for me to see, the additional suffering that's going on with some of the executive orders that are being signed. Medications going up, Medicaid being cut. And other things. It's hard as a compassionate and empathic individual. It's hard for me to see that, to be honest. But there's a higher meaning. There's a higher reason. And Spirit's saying those that suffer now will be blessed later. I mean, it's no consolation for right now, but I think you get with that. So let me move on. So our collective consciousness, suffering, but our collective consciousness, divine will, it has to be this way now. But Donald Trump is the figure that will expose this. The evil, corruption, and changes everything. This has been the mantra around here about Trump forever, and for over a decade. Now, whether everything's exposed and then we start to work towards getting our freedoms back, is that by Trump's design, or is that by his demise? I think that's a really, really good question. And there's a good chance. And there's a chance that it's not its demise, but we don't know that. I think we'll know more after the month, especially in April, and will be continued to be with high drama. Okay. And I feel like that I feel like there's going to be pressures for him to step down for a few different reasons. Trump's very resilient. Right now, I feel like he's going to be able to survive that. But it's not an exaggeration on the title of this video saying that there's trouble around Donald Trump. And and it happens so often. The very day I did those notes, or the day after, all of a sudden I've seen that all over YouTube, and I've seen some pretty interesting things that are going on, some very strong pushback from other world leaders, other countries, Canada, the European Union leading the way. So I'm not left or right, because I know that there's a power that controls both sides. So I concerned about both candidates. But no matter what, this is a step in our collective awakening. So again, I'm sad about the suffering, but we may have to go through this. And again, be prepared, stock up, do your spiritual work, be in your heart, stay in the eye of the storm. There's a huge storm brewing, but when you're in your heart, you're in the eye of the storm. You're in love, you're in compassion, and you're not as effective. And hearts can't be programmed also. We teach heart brain coherence here. There's a lot of techniques to work with the frequencies of the heart, but I think heart brain coherence is it's my go-to practice, and what I teach the most. And I'll augment that with breathing and yoga techniques also. So anyway, what else? All right. So here over. So I was hearing the word overthrow also, and I was going about Trump. But that could be overthrowing the cabal, not necessarily Donald Trump. So you decide with Donald Trump, Musk. They're the players of the globalist movement. Suggest all right. See, with that, Canada more likely cooperates. I have to say, Canada's not going to, and we're seeing that in the news now. Canada's going to stand strong. They're going to want to work things out as best they can, but they're not going to bow. I don't see Canada ever being the 51st state. So just without that, I don't know why. I thought that there's more information that I had here, but apparently those are my only pages. All right. Well, anyway, moving right along. So March is the month where the transition of AI becomes the most noticeable so far. So we see a lot of things turning over to that technology now. We see changes of structures of a lot of businesses, etc. So the Stargate project, I promised to get back to that, spearheaded by Donald Trump and Musk, $500 billion donated for that. That includes building AI infrastructure. Yeah, that includes smart city technology. That includes surveillance. That includes enlisting SpaceX. That includes mRNA vaccines also. So, to me, it seems like that could support the globalist movement, not necessarily. So I'm not saying anything against Trump, to be clear. I'm just saying, again, critical thinking and intuition apply that. Um, Planned tariffs will drive the world economy, drive oil prices. If there are tariffs, it will be 10%. They determine it won't be 25% with Canada, our largest foreign oil supply. That's going to change the distribution. That's going to change the whole of that. That's going to drive the prices up with gas. That's going to make electric vehicles more attractive. And who would benefit from more EV sales? Is there a certain company that manufactured and only manufactures electric vehicles? Again, I'm not saying that this is a Trump, Elon Musk agenda. I'm just saying, be aware of the facts and then make your assessments on what's going on. Court injunction partially blocking some of the executive orders. Stimulus plans rolled out probably several months before they get rolled out. Now, the beginning of February, that was part of the February, might have been part of the January also. I talked about stimulus packages coming. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm the first person that I'm aware of that even mentioned that. And now we see it's in the news, basically. Will it be $5,000? The math doesn't add up unless they go through the middle class plan, which is basically cutting out anybody that has a gross, an adjusted gross income of under 40,000, or that there'll be an upper limit to that. So anyway, Canada, the world push back. Trade wars causes changes in the patterns of international trade, causing some degree of U.S. compliance. So, I think they're going to have to comply to some degree. Remember, it's all part of the awakening and how events play out in the world, a product of the changing energetic frequencies. Counterattacks against Musk, the Doge, legalities, several court appearances for Trump, maybe Musk also. Pressure to, I said, wrote dethrone in parentheses or in quotation marks, Trump. RFK very prominent in the changing structure of the pharmaceutical companies. Again, a lot of this is now casting, like I said, and corruption. Yeah, we're getting there. Where are we? Oh, almost an hour. I knew this was going to be a long one. Corruption accusations around Musk, RFK, but some countermeasures to block Trump is false. So I think that's coming. It's not about the economic reset. That's a big part of it also. Yeah, self-reliance. That's what we need. Self-reliance for us, for our community and everything. But still to be part of that community. Exactly. So stocks volatile, crypto market volatile. Now, back in the autumn, I think even in the late summer, and again, many of you are aware of this, that I had predicted first it was an economic crash, then an economic reset for the month of February. That was the prediction. And then later on, as I get closer to January, predicted February, March. So was it 2 days ago, stocks tumbled almost 800 points, up and down, up and down. Housing market crashing, economy really taking a big hit. Sometimes it has to fall to be rebuilt on a stronger foundation of compassion, sharing, and power back to the people, by the people, for the people. Right now, the economy is being leveraged again for the select few at the detriment of a great many. So it's got to come down in some way to be rebuilt. That's the Tower card in the tarot. When something's built up and it's not working anymore, crashes down and gets rebuilt on stronger foundation. So the tower of our society is built on the weak foundation of corruption, greed, power over others. Comes down, then it gets built on the stronger foundation of compassion and community and government by the people for the people, allowing the public to participate, which is, I think, the Constitution to begin with, in the laws that are enacted in our country. Agendas like the WEF, that would be nice, getting exposed. BRICS, I think it's called the BRICS Plus nations now, gaining momentum, possibly 2 new nations joining. A lot of people are a little bit leery about the BRICS nation because China and Russia are part of that. Was it Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS? Now there's Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of new countries. IRS income tax modification proposed. Some could go into effect late. I don't think in March, but later in the year. Some of it immediate. Gains in gold and silver futures. We may start to see that ramping up in March. Gold, I think, has been up and down. Silver's been kind of plateauing it so far, but I think it's going to go moving towards gold-backed or metal-backed currency, quantum financial system, push towards digital currency. But there's 2 sides of that. There's the globalist agenda to leverage digital currency to gain further control of the money, to track how you're spending your money. Are you a good boy and girl? Social credit scores, all that stuff. But I think with the quantum financial system, it's more of an agenda to have digital currency, but it has to be backed by gold or something. It can't just be you've created and whatever. It gives governments too much power, basically. So push towards digital currency, but with it, all right. Big shift in commerce, business, lots of shutdowns, recessions, especially if these tariffs go into effect. Recessions wouldn't be too long behind that. I think we're already seeing that in the housing market, just at the specter of it. Shortages coming after March, more likely after March, but it's all a reset for a more fair global financial network will follow. News can be on economy. News can be better on economy later, March. Housing market hit hard for a while. All right, page 9. Oh, we're getting there. So another incident in the capital region, possibly a bomb threat or a violent protest. Some of you might remember that I predicted, I cited the White House. This is where psychic sensing can be a little bit inaccurate because it's there's an interpretation element. And I talked about this in January, right? That I was seeing a brief sealing off of the White House. Well, what happened? There's a bomb threat, but it wasn't the White House. This is the Kennedy Center, the Performing Arts. It's still part of the capital region, and there was a bomb scare, and it was sealed off briefly. So does that mean that another one's coming? I feel like Spirit's saying yes, but it may not be the White House. It might be another government building. But anyway, and we are witnessing the greatest transition of global society this month ever. Big attacks on spirituality, withdrawing our freedoms, again, invoking fear and all that kind of stuff. Incidents of mystery auroras coming up. Auroras in general will spike, though. Your mystery auroras could be testing of HARP technology or other technologies. Now, I also had a vision of horses. This is an interesting vision where horses were escaping their barns and running free. And I mean, it may be literally that something like that. I feel like Spirit's saying, yeah, that'll happen when there's earthquakes or things of that nature, that the animals freak out and they're saying, watch the animals. Watch for strange behaviors in animals in your area. And if that's happening, maybe prepare that something may be coming, because the animals feel the earth all the time, well before humans do. So, but it could also be a symbol of empowerment and freedom, because horses represent empowerment and freedom. That's a Native American symbol. So if I'm seeing them contained in a barn, then breaking the barn down, the fence down, and running free, I think that's showing that it may get chaotic this month. It could get very dicey and very hairy, but it's going to lead to more freedom. So keep an eye on that. News of new coronavirus or other pandemic threats, possibly later, 2026, 27. We've been hearing that for a while. Just a repeat. lots of fires, maybe Dallas. So I had something coming on around Dallas or Texas. So it could be like a fire or somewhere. Are they planning smart cities there? God, leave Austin alone. I mean, leave them all alone, but definitely leave Austin alone. Oh my goodness, lots of fires, maybe Dallas. More labor strikes. So I think we see that coming up around the world, not just here. Also, Toronto comes up. We talked about that. Could be terrorists or natural disasters. We mentioned that also. More. Yes, we have more visions of everything painted blue. Talked about that already. Bombing in East Europe, Middle East, and East Europe could be prompted into some war or some battles, basically. I think this is all connected to the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the Middle East. So we could see, I don't think it's written in some, but we could see some deployment of troops in those areas here in the United States. Russia-Ukraine talks hit snags. I think that happened today, actually. And trust me, I was doing readings off the day. I did not prepare these notes today. But resumes later in the month. I'm still seeing more into the late spring and summer for there being any tangible ceasefire. I hope it's sooner. A lot of the Trump loyalists see it as being sooner. I hope they're right. Renewed fighting in Middle East based on ill-advised attack or bombing, but it will get solved. So there's that unexplained rash of sinkholes. I mentioned that in a recent video also. So I think that's something that we're going to see, like a new trend in more sinkholes, basically. That's just when the earth just opens up and sinks, basically. It's common in Florida, basically, because they built a whole state on swamps, basically. But some of it's seismic, some of it from, some of the seismic is from hydrofracking, some possibly underground explosions, cave tunnels, collapses, stuff like that. They're showing Pacific tsunami, possible issue with an ice shelf tsunami. March, that's the season for an Antarctic ice shelf collapse, because that's when it's the warmest. Now, again, I mentioned, climate change is real, but it's a hoax at the same time. The Earth is getting warmer, and it's proportionate at the poles. So the poles are getting kind of balmy. So a big ice shelf collapse from a glacier could send a wave cascading that would wipe out the coast. Now, I know this is in my notes, but I'll explain this now so you don't freak out about it, that we have our extraterrestrials, interdimensional helpers assisting us. And a lot of the prophecies by myself and others, though they've come true in a modified form, that most of them were not as bad as what has been forecast. So it does sound very doom and gloom. Oh, yeah. 800-foot waves sweeping the world. Yeah, that would be devastating or whatever. But there's a higher plan. There's a higher purpose. They do not want humanity to be destroyed or to be that severely handicapped, basically. They don't want to see us destroying ourselves. They don't want to see us nuking things. There's been a lot of intervention. They want us to work it out on our own. There is a semblance from the extraterrestrial community to what Star Trek called the Prime Directive, not allowed to interfere with the progression of a society's development. But if the society is going to destroy itself, then they're going to work on modifying. At least that's my theory. We can't prove that, right? So we knew fighting Middle East, all right. Assassination attempts against 1 or 2 world leaders as well as corporate heads. So I think we're going to see, again, people getting killed or disappearing. A lot of them are probably whistleblowers, have something to share with the world that they don't want to see. Unexplained rash of I'm repeating myself. Pacific tsunami. Look out for that. They've been highlighting Japan, and another psychic that I really love, named Joseph Tittle, has been very hot on Japan lately. So I've been sensing something also, and of course Japan is a seismic hotbed. And as I'm saying, I feel like Spirit saying south that we may see like a big one more off of Southeast Asia than Japan. But anyway, that's going to come up every month because there's a possibility every month. But the fact that I actually saw it and felt it gives me some credence that again, another disclaimer. Another thing, everything will pan out. Higher intelligence, like ETs, are working with us, all happening in response to energy, to consciousness. The more we awaken, the easier the transition will be into new Earth and the golden age. Golden age of enlightenment, the real golden age. And also, what else? So also, while I'm thinking about it, I've got a few more. Lying seems crazy. I think that's in my notes somewhere, but if not, I'll address that, Mary. Thank you, and good for you guys that are planning. So, one of the things, I really want to teach people to be empowered. One of the ways I do this is a program called Power Attunements that I downloaded it. It was channeled, and then it was framed by what I've learned from other teachers. And I've taught this before. People have benefited. People have changed their lives. I want to share this with you. I've reduced the price. I'm calling it Power Attunements Plus because there's all new exercises. And this is for empowerment and for manifestation. So if you do this, you will be supercharged to manifest your reality consciously, as well as to help yourself with your health. I applied this and I healed from eczema and heart disease and other things. So anyway, that's going to be 4 consecutive Thursdays at 7 o'clock my time, Eastern time. It's priced down, and there's a $55 bonus, which is the audio program, 2.5 hours of recorded material. So I'll leave information on that. Oh, also, if you want to learn how to do mediumship channeling and energy healing, we're doing a retreat in the Catskills up from April 11th to the 13th. And so that's the weekend before Easter. So we're going to have a very powerful, intensive on mediumship channeling and stuff like that. So anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. So restructuring of NATO and international organizations, we're seeing that playing out already. New, more sophisticated drones. I think I mentioned that. Canada and Europe undergo changes. New alliances form. The threat of tariffs and U.S. intervention helps Canada come together more as a nation. So, and again, notes were prepared. Things came out on the news. This is already in the news now, but it wasn't. I swear, it wasn't when I prepared these notes. And together as a nation. So these threats are, I think, at the end of the day, are going to make Canada stronger, more sovereign, coming more together as a nation. So I think that our country, I'm American, obviously. I think it's still the only country in the Western world that doesn't have socialized medicine, but that's a whole another topic. I think our country will reach an accord, but it may not happen in March. We'll see how that played out. Like I said, it's a very fluid situation. If somebody was to pin me down for a yes or no prediction, I'd have to say yes. I do see the tariffs coming into effect. There may be some of it may be lifted or modified, but at the same time, that timeline can change. It really depends on them, basically. I think it's really intended more for leveraging more global control for the U.S. or the forces that are behind the United States to leverage more control over the planet and to drive the economy and drive the trades around the world and everything. So I think there's a globalist agenda behind it. But that said, I think it's making Canada stronger. So I think, all right, the tariff situation is still fluid, but it's favored. Some will go into effect. All right. Part of a shift in the globalist marketplace that the world will need to adopt to, but also will destroy the imperialist corporate greed behind international trade. So that's the positive side of it. Price gouging, etc., and lead to a more fair trade practicing over time. We'll say that over time, basically. So we've been here preparing you for all this for a very long time. I know a lot of you have stuck with the medium channel. I really thank you for that. What are they going to say? And we'll continue to do that. So our goal is to help everybody to awaken, to stay empowered and safe during these immense changes, and we're going to come out of it and we're going to be better than ever. But we have a lot to go through. So I have a channel message for you guys. It's not long, and then we'll do some divination cards and call it a night. Only 3 pages. So this just came through from the master teachers. Again, let me just say, anybody that would like to support us in our work, one thing you could do is just like this video and keep commenting and share it. And if you like what we do here on the Medium channel, please subscribe. That brings you more into the community. And really, a channel subscription, really all that it does, it does a few things, but mostly it's going to, what's going to happen is that more of our videos are going to show up on your home feed, basically, if you're subscribed versus if you're not subscribed. Anyway, this is from the master teachers. That's what I call the group that I work with in the energy channel. By the way, we did a kick butt energy channeling last night. If you want to tap into this 7-planet alignment, which is the crack in the dimension that's opening up these new energies in these new fields and helping to create a lot of these changes that are going on in the world, that's going to help you a lot. That's on the channel. Doesn't matter when you do it. That's on the channel. So they do frequency channeling, frequency work to help to align your vibrations to these new energies so that you can transcend and awaken and ascend much more gracefully and much more easily, more powerfully. So here's what they had to say. Dear loved ones, your deep state is failing. They feel the pressure of your strengthening will and increasing connection with your divine wellspring of life and are trying to distract your collective field, sever your tide with divine source and with each other, and level increased psyops and frequency programming, ceremonial magic, and other tools to distort the fields to create greater compliance through suppression of energy and will. I'm going to just let that sink in for a second. That's a heavy statement right there. Yeah, I'm getting a little verklempt. I've got to take a step back also. And this is commentary from me now. We see the deep state scrambling, or the cabal, whatever you want to call them. We see them creating cells so they're harder to detect, and networks so they're harder to detect, basically. So let me get back with the channeling. Worried that their plan will fail, the whole agenda to seize greater control and exploitation of your people becomes more swift, more careless, almost daring the populace to expose them, yet still sophisticated enough to keep the masses in lower vibrational survival emotions, using them against your world to exploit humanity at great detriment and great cost. Need more water. Smoke detectors? I'm missing something here, apparently. It's also orchestrated to make you fearful, angry, fostering distrust, hatred towards your brothers and sisters, out of fear amongst them perceived as the other side, duality, right? As to further separate you from your divinity, that which is your true identity. Find that, dear ones. Find it now. This is your shift, your shift, your ascension, or your higher dimensional reality, or shift to higher dimensional realities. There are no sides anymore. There's only truth, the one life force all beings draw upon. Anything else is an illusion. Politics, all that stuff, anything else is an illusion. A teaching for your evolution. So what they're saying, if I'll paraphrase, is that this whole divide thing, I'm a MAGA person, I'm a leftist, all that, and really holding that. It's all a teaching for your evolution, because sooner or later you're going to penetrate that illusion. You're going to pierce that divide and realize all beings come from the same source. We're all the same. We're just different manifestations of that. And once we learn that as a collective and come together, then we become empowered as a society, as a global society. And that's when the miraculous new earth is born, basically. So the old's got a full. And in the Celtic traditions, the New Year's the day of death, not the day of birth, because they believe that life starts from death, and it does. That's called Samhain, for those of you that don't know that, which is parallel to our Halloween. So Awakening to your divinity is the most important thing that you can do for humanity right now. All tangible action that you can take to make your world a better place will stem from there, not the other way around. And why is that? Because if you're thinking, oh, I need to take action, the world's a mess, you're coming from a place of fear and division. You're not coming from divinity. So your actions will reflect that. So understand that. Um, oh, where was I? There, not the other way around. The collective will feed. The collective will feed from your spiritual triumphs and enhance the portals and their accessibility to assist others in transcending the illusion, the 3D illusion, the matrix, and achieving spiritual awakening. God or source will reveal everything, what earthly actions to take, what your next life purpose on New Earth will be at the exact precise moment. This cannot be forced, but rather must be let go of. There is no want or need to discover your path. Instead, you align with your higher self, higher energies, only to discover that you had the answers all along. Spiritual practice and alignment is what is needed for personal, collective healing and growth. And this is what will save humanity. How you'll overcome the dark or evil forces, thus satisfying your karma in this lifetime, and how your whole world transforms into the light. The glow that pierces the veils and joins the multiple dimensions of reality, and the shift is now. Work with the heart brain, spirit connection, heart brain, spirit with love. And that's what I have. And I wanted to address, because somebody was asking about the air strikes. I thought I had that in my note of the air disasters. I predicted that on the February forecast. I prepared my notes. I predicted a rash of air disasters. That the very day I did that live stream, I think that was January the 30th. That's when the first one, the DC one, happened, basically. I think there's more to come. I think, again, there's an agenda to try to enlist, I think a lot of the agendas, and I'm starting to stammer a little bit. I think a lot of it is to really get the AI going. AI is a perfect tool for control, and to continue to further that globalist agenda for transhumanism, for leveraging power through AI and other technologies, basically. For an enlightened society, that is an amazing tool. I'm not against technology. In fact, AI and other technology is part of the awakening. But in the wrong hands, who's programming the AI? The same ones that want to misprogram you to be their slaves and servants. So it's all in how it's used. So anyway, so I think because there's an agenda behind the plane crashes, they'll likely continue. But I think they'll be like, well, we can start to use AI to help the air traffic controllers. We can use SpaceX, Starlinks, whatever. Again, these are amazing technologies. Starlink and other things. Elon Musk. He's demonized, but we have to see it from both perspectives. He's an absolute genius, and from my understanding, a self-made multi-billion or a billionaire anyway. And he's been at the forefront of a lot of things in outer space, and through the technology developed through that, people that don't have like cable, like here in the United States, can have reliable internet service, and soon we won't need the cell tower so much because we can do that right off of the satellite. So there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think part of the awakening is that the lines between good and evil start to get blurry, and people. And this is always the case, but I think that's part of it, that people can kind of be kind of in both, if that makes any sense. Can have both qualities. So I'm not saying anybody's evil here. I'm just using that more as a vernacular than anything. But the point being is, there's a lot of things that don't seem kosher that's going on. Again, it pains me what's happening to common people in the world based on what's going on with the government and how frightened people are and everything. but I want to see this from a holistic perspective that once we get more enlightened, a lot of this, it's going to be for good. And again, to finish off where we started, whether you love the guy number 47 or hate him, this has been the mantra in the channel since its inception. This is the figure that's going to cause it all to crash down so we can rebuild. If there's no Donald Trump, Spirit will find another way, basically. But I think based on his personality, based on whatever he is, whatever, I think that was the perfect figure to get in. And I think there's some spiritual manipulation as well as human manipulation. But anyway, you get the point, right? So let's see what else Spirit has to say. Where are my divination cards? How long have we been on? Yeah, well, I figured this would be a 90-minute. And I wish I was able to see more of your comments, because every time I glance, somebody's posting something really insightful. So we appreciate your feedback here. JC Chat, I love Star Trek, right? I use a lot of Star Trek. Like for example, do we want to go into transhumanism and create an autocratic society based on automation, or technocratic, I guess is the word. Although technocratic means something different, that technology rules, AI rules. Think of the first Star Trek movie. For those that saw that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The carbon-based units are inferior. They must be destroyed, or the Terminator, take your pick. Again, we're being watched. It's not going to come to that, but or Hunger Games is another good example of what happened when power gets too centralized. But anyhow, so these are the sacred geometry cards. So what frequencies should we be working on or experiencing this month? That's the question. Let me clear my mind a second. Here we go. Alchemy. Well, that's very Pluto-Uranus energy. Yeah, let's learn. This is a great message. Let's learn to be spiritual alchemists. The heart is your alchemical center of the body. It's the largest electromagnetic generator in the body. If you have fear, if you have dread, if you're worried about your rent or mortgage next month because programs were cut or whatever it is, place that all in your heart. See golden flames in your heart. Place it in your heart and change the energy of that into gold. Change all that stress into gold. And what does it say? It says the frequency of alchemy activates our magical ability and remembrance of the magic that we all hold inside. Getting back to the Power Tumens course, sign up if you're interested. Each one of us has the potential to access the ancient knowledge that allowed the true alchemist to perform the miracles of transmutation. And that's what it looks like, basically. So yeah, for those of you that jumped on late, we're doing a Power Attunements Plus course, a 4-part course about how to access the heart and spirit in order to consciously create your reality, to empower yourself, to heal, and all that good stuff. And you said, I'm very proud of this program. I've gotten tons of great feedback, and this is my gift. So anyways, I know I'm sharing. I like that this card has a lot of gold in it. Also a lot of red, because that's a lot of the colors of March, because we're dealing with a lot of Mars energy as well, a lot of action and energy. So that's a great message. Yeah. All right. All right, very good. So I have a couple of, I always like to use the Starseed Oracle deck for these. We're all Starseed, I probably next week I might do a video on extraterrestrials, because I think that's going to be a very hot topic in the next few months. Like it's not already, but I think an even hotter topic. Divine feminine, yeah, blending of the divine feminine and masculine. The heart's the great unifier, right? We live in a dualistic world. We can be unified of heart and energy and function much better in this dualistic world. And yeah, we can't be programmed. Hearts cannot be programmed. The subconscious mind can. Hearts, by their very nature, cannot be programmed. And science has now proved the heart's stronger than the brain. You bring your heart into coherence, the brain becomes into coherence. They blend, and you become resistant to the programming. That includes frequency programming. Yes, through technology, they use patterns of sound, vibration, or whatever to program you, to program your bodily functions. This is all coming through right now. Yeah, your physiology. But we're strong and resistant anyway. We're spirit. But if you are able to cultivate the frequency of the heart and dwell in the heart, you become resistant to all that technology, psyops, all the tricks that they use, the technology, all of that stuff. So anyway, Starseed Oracle, give me a message, please. And the message we got here is weight of the world. That is interesting. Boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. So remember to let go. Don't hold other people's energies. And I can put this. It's interesting because I've got like a lavender spotlight. Then I've got maybe I should do something a little bit differently with my lighting next time. But anyway, you get that. So very often, yeah. So in any event, I've got another one. Let me just dive into. So yes, that's just a reminder. Let's not hold on to all the stress. When we feel it, use the heart to transmute all that stress of the world into love. Again, spiritual alchemy. So that is our primary message from spirit. Learn how to apply that. I just did a video. It came out yesterday on how to use heart-brain coherence to heal yourself. So you might want to check that out, especially if you're looking to heal yourself. We got one more. This is called the Divine Abundance Oracle. So this will either have a prayer or a message. So we'll get one final message. We're already an hour and a half. We'll let us all go. Very good. This is the card, right? Oh, they're saying this one. Oh, I'm thinking too much. Got to get out of my brain. I've got to get in my heart. So when you're in your heart, then your heart's stronger than your brain. So your brain and your heart blend. Hearts are coherent when they feel love, compassion, gratitude. Nothing complicated spirituality. It's all simple stuff. We're complicated. And that's our spiritual essence. So once you get into the coherence of the heart, the brain and the heart blend, the brain becomes coherent, then you become coherent with spirit. You start getting messages, downloads, you start healing, you start empowering, basically. And it's alchemical. So you turn that etheric lead into gold. Okay, I found my card. Thank you, Spirit. Or your card, I should say. Ease. So that's what the card looks like. Oh, which god is that? I love the Vedic gods. Is Huda on? Or anybody that studies yoga or Vedic? Is that Lakshmi? Oh, with the elephants, it's probably Ganesh, because there's elephants around the figure. And what it says is, it's easy for me to receive. It's easy for me to receive. It's easy for me to receive. So that's the mantra. It's easy for me to receive, especially when you're coherent in the heart. It's the programming that makes it seem hard. It's the programming that makes money's hard. Well, it's hard because we're locked into a certain mindset that makes it hard. But money's out there in unlimited quantities, especially when there's no gold standard. Even when there is, spiritually, even when there is, because about 97 to 99, even more than 99% of the available gold is yet to be discovered in this world. So gold, which is the measure of wealth in our society for a very, very long time, exists in quantities we can't even imagine. We have 15 trillion cells in our body. Everything that exists in abundance. Yet we are in lack consciousness. We live in a debt-based society. That's why it's all coming down, because we're programmed for lack and debt. That's why it's so hard for so many to change their program, because it's been drilled into us so long that it takes repetition of counter conditioning and reprogramming in order to start to shift that into an empowerment programming. So this will help. It is easy for me to receive. It is easy for me to receive. It is easy for me to receive. That's what I've got for you guys. So next live stream is Sunday at 11. That's more of our community hour. That's tarot time, Sunday at 11 Eastern. And again, please like, comment, share. And I think we shared a lot of good stuff with you. All right. Yeah. Commenting in the comment section of the video helps. I found that the main thing with YouTube and the algorithm, they want to see people liking the video enough to click on it. So we call it the CTR, or click through rate. But anyway, very good, Starlight. Thank you for that. So if you guys want to more interact with me and each other, because that's when I post your comments and everything. We do that Sunday mornings, as well as do divination for the week, centering around tarot. All right. Very good. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks you for being part of this community. And thanks for your appreciation also. Love you.